Bigger wheels are faster, especially over the rocks. We know all of that, but do we know that they're faster over a full race run? It's still debatable. So we just have to wait and see. But I think it's a bit like Luke's saying as well. At some point we're going to have to get onto the fastest wheels, but we'll have to make sure we know the fastest wheels first, or fastest bike, should I say, fastest person. That's what it's going to be.
Is it unfair?
I think it's an unlevel playing field. Whether it's unfair or not, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. With the top riders currently on bigger wheels, are we seeing a true reflection of who's fastest?
Yeah, I think we are, but it's not. Oh, I don't know. It's quite a hard one. Right, so I'm a bit of a super fan. That's why I'm here. I don't have to be here. And the reasons I got into watching downhill and riding downhill are not in line with what those bikes are good at. I think that's the most politically correct way of seeing it. I want to see loose woods, loads of lines, tight turns, dirt flying, and I feel like they're kind of more suited to like bike park tracks, fast rolling, that kind of thing. I want tracks to like suit smaller wheels, but then that's just my opinion, so that's just the tracks I like, I guess. I like to watch.
Cool.
In the end, like, I still think the best rider will win. Yeah.
Do you feel like the 27.5s can still compete with the 2.9s then on every track, or just some tracks?
Not on every track, on some tracks. Like
Yeah.
I'm not against 29ers, but I think it should be like everybody should be on the same wheel size. If it's 29ers, 650B, or even 26-inch. So, they can compete, but on some tracks they're for sure faster. Like on this track, the 29er for sure is faster.
Mm-hmm. All right. So with the top guys running the bigger wheels, are we seeing a true reflection of who's the fastest rider?
Yes.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Because seriously, if people think that the size of a wheel makes that much difference over the results, then they're deluding themselves. It's still a bike. You know, you've still got to point it down the hill and steer it. You've still got to pedal where you pedal. You know, and for me, the whole thing is, if the rules allow it, then you exploit every opportunity. It's a speed event.
Well, yeah, like I always think, I like to think it's about the rider. Yeah, it's some part of the bikes, but a lot of these riders, you can stick them on a bike, a strider bike, and they'll still fly down here quicker than most of us. So yeah, it may make some difference in rolling speed, maybe weight, going over rocks and stuff. But yeah, I like to think more about the riders than the tech. I'm old-fashioned on that.
Downhill bikes.
It's the best thing that's ever happened to the sport. I'm so happy. I think it should go bigger, personally.
Doesn't really matter about your wheel size if you're still gonna send it.
Yep, just gonna send it.
Do you think it's unfair that some teams have them and the smaller teams aren't able to pull them together?
Oh, you know what? It's kind of survival of the fittest, isn't it?
I mean, on a more serious note, like, I back it, especially for the taller riders. I think it's a good idea.
It's no hidden secret that a bigger wheel tracks over ground smoother, easier, and in most cases faster. So probably don't really need to say too much more other than that. But that's not saying, that's not taking away from Minar, because Minar could win on any day. Like you just have to look at what he's done. So that's not taken away from Craig at all. But yeah, I personally can't believe it's happening. It's, for me, like the first thing I have to say is if they're not gonna bring in a rule, we're obviously gonna have to join them. Like this time next year, we would have to be on 29ers. But I feel it's the worst thing that's happened in mountain biking since I've been involved in it. I actually can't believe that it's been allowed to happen, because it's completely changing what the sport is. Like, I mean, you go back and watch a video from the early 2000s of us handling 26-inch mountain bikes through the gnarliest sections. A 29er just mellows that all out. And it's not only that, the courses are already getting faster and less technical, and a big wheel is just mellowing that out even more so. So it's completely changing the sport from what it was. And for me, the sport was always really cool because it was so gnarly and guys getting skittered about and just fighting these bikes through sections. And I think you're gonna lose a lot of that. And you know, a lot of people's come back to, well, why bring in a rule to not allow these big wheels? Should we go back to V-brakes and single crown forks for downhill? But that's completely different. It's that, you know, making a better fork, better brakes, you know, changing geometry, that's all developing. Like putting a bigger wheel on is in no way, shape or form development of product or the sport. It's like put a bigger wheel on anything and it's going to track over ground quicker. Like if you look at the guys that race supercross and outdoor motocross, like look at the size of their wheels. If you put bigger wheels on their bikes, they're going to go quicker, but it's going to look less rowdy. Yes, they're going quicker, so the overall times are quicker, but it's like there has to be some limitations to keep this sport what it is. Why is a BMX a BMX? What makes it a BMX? It's because it's got 20-inch wheels. For me, a mountain bike has always been 26-inch wheels, and in my opinion, it should never have went 27.5, but it did. We had to accept it. Now we're trying to go even bigger, and like I just can't believe it's happening. The other side of it is I feel if it gets to the point where there's a stacked field of 29ers, I think the big wheels will lend themselves more to the taller riders. I'm not saying a small guy won't be able to make his way onto the podium or win a race, but I certainly think it'll take more exceptions of the small guys to be able to do that. So the sport for me has been so cool for such a long time because you could have, you know, you get a 5'7" guy standing on the podium with 6'4" guy, and that's just what makes it such a cool sport, as well as loads of other stuff. But you know, it is fitting the bikes much better to the taller guys, and I do think we're going to lose a bit from the kind of variety of riders that can make it onto the podium and win races. So like, just for many reasons, I'm totally not with it. So kind of where we're at.
We're seeing the true fastest riders taking the top spots.
Good question. I think the problem is with these bikes is that a lot of the fast guys are actually, they're getting the bikes.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's difficult for the other components to come down so everyone's on the same kit. But I don't know, in all honesty. I think that I was in the woods and I don't think it mattered what size wheels you had, in all honesty, down there. So potentially everyone's going to be on them and it will change the direction slightly, but if the tracks allow it, the technicality to come through, I don't think it matters what size wheels you got.
What are you seeing as like a fitness coach in terms of fatigue and stresses on the body? Are you noticing any differences?
Not in terms of wheel sizes at the moment, because we've not really had enough. Brendan's waiting for some parts so he can't actually ride one at the moment. Manon's not got them. What? Joe's not got them on the Intense. But on a track like this, it's a really physical track, you know, and coming down to the bottom, it's not just the legs, it's obviously the upper body and everything else. So I think that I prefer to see tracks that are physical and not just pedaling. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't want the bikes to define, you know, I don't want people to go, oh, he won because he's on a certain bike. In mountain biking, we shouldn't really have that. Everyone's got access to the same kit. It's pretty much a production-based sport. There are little tweaks that the factory guys have, but you or I could go out and buy their bikes. And I think that's the cool thing about the sport, really, isn't it?